The child in the hall, the haunting of Sacred Heart Grade School. They say every town has its story, but Salina, Kansas, has one that still whispers. It begins with Sacred Heart Grade School, a red brick Catholic school built in 1908, right beside the old church, not far from Iron Avenue. For nearly a century, the building was alive with children, the ring of bells, chalk against blackboards, and the sound of shoes on polished tile. But those sounds are gone now. The school's been closed for over 20 years. These days, the building only opens a few times a year for church gatherings, small catechism classes, or the occasional Sunday school session. The lights flicker on, the doors creak open, and for a few hours, the old building breathes again. And sometimes, it's not alone, because people say one child never left Sacred Heart. The story goes back decades to when the last janitors and teachers still walked those halls. One night around 2002, a janitor named Ed stayed late after a parish choir practice. He was finishing up near the East Hall, the one that connects the main wing to the chapel, when he heard it, the faint sound of footsteps, light ones, small, like a child running down the hallway. He called out, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here." But when he turned the corner, he froze. Standing halfway down the hall was a boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, neatly combed brown hair, white button-up shirt, dark suspenders. He stood perfectly still, facing the lockers. Ed took a few steps forward, heart pounding. The boy's head tilted slightly, just enough that Ed saw the faint reflection of his eyes in the waxed floor. And then, gone. No sound, no door, no exit. Just empty hallway. Ed turned in his keys the next morning. When asked why, he said, "Someone else can clean that hall. It's not my job anymore." When the school finally closed, the story didn't fade. It spread. Parishioners, volunteers, and old students kept repeating the same story. The child in the East Hall. Some said he'd been there since the tornado of 1951, when the basement of Sacred Heart was used as a shelter. Others said it went back to the 1930s, when a little boy died during recess. But no one could ever prove either story. Still, there was that one photograph. Sometime in the late 1970s, a yearbook picture was taken on the stairs leading up to the old third-grade classroom overlooking the playground. When the photos came back from development, there was someone in the background, a small boy standing in the doorway. Old-fashioned clothes, expression blank. The photo vanished a few weeks later. Misplaced, the teachers said. But one of the students in that photo, now an adult, swears her mother saw it first, and her mother whispered something she never forgot. "That's the same boy I saw when I went there." After the doors closed for good in the early 2000s, the church still used parts of the building occasionally, but most of Sacred Heart stayed dark. Volunteers said that when they were alone in the East Wing, the air always felt colder. Sometimes they'd hear faint scuffing sounds like sneakers on tile. One Sunday school teacher prepping her classroom found tiny barefoot prints in a thin layer of dust, leading from the chalkboard to the hall. When she returned from the office, they were gone. Eventually, the ghost got a name. Tommy. No one remembers who started calling him that. It just stuck. Some say Tommy was a boy who died during the influenza outbreak of 1918. Others think he fell from the second-floor stairwell in the 1930s. But the older parishioners whisper a different story. They say when the church expanded in the 1950s, the soil used for the foundation came from an old part of town, filled dirt taken from a disused cemetery. And maybe, they say, one small grave was disturbed. And that's why he walks. Caretakers who've been there after dark talk about strange sounds, like humming. A faint, tuneless melody that drifts through the vents late at night. One said it always seemed to move, from the hallway to the stairs to the basement door. When he opened it once, the sound stopped, but a cold breeze brushed past him. He went back upstairs and found the east hallway door standing wide open. It had been locked when he came in. After the school closed, teenagers and ghost hunters began sneaking in. They brought cameras, flashlights, EVP recorders, the usual. Some caught static, some caught voices, and a few swore they saw him. Always the same description: a little boy in old clothes, brown hair, white shirt, watching from the shadows. One youth group volunteer said she saw a small figure standing by the playground one snowy evening, still silent, facing the building. She blinked. He was gone. Even the priests who still oversee the parish admit the building feels strange. One once said that when he locks up after evening mass, he sometimes hears laughter echoing faintly in the old classrooms. But, he said, it doesn't sound like children laughing now. It sounds like children remembering how. People say if you're in Sacred Heart after dark, even just in the hallway leading to the chapel, you can feel it. That feeling of being watched. One volunteer helping set up for a charity event said she saw movement reflected in the glass door ahead of her. A small shape behind her shoulder. Still, quiet. When she turned, no one was there. It's been closed for over 20 years, but the lights in the old East Wing still flicker on some nights. Neighbors say they've seen it, a faint glow in the second-floor window long after midnight. Some say it's just old wiring. Others know better. Because sometimes, just before that light goes out, they swear they see a pale face staring out. A boy's face, expression blank, head tilted, and then darkness. They say once you've seen him, he remembers you, even if you move away. Even if you tell yourself it was nothing. Because people who've seen Tommy report strange things later, toys falling on their own, reflections that move wrong, a faint laugh in an empty house. One former Sunday school teacher said she moved to Colorado years later and found an old class photo from Sacred Heart in a box. In the back row, slightly blurred, was a boy she didn't recognize. White shirt, brown hair. She said it looked exactly like him. If you ever drive down Iron Avenue late at night and pass the old Sacred Heart grade school, look up at the windows. Sometimes one light will be on, even though the power to that floor's been disconnected for years. If you see it, don't stop. And whatever you do, don't wave. Because they say if you acknowledge him, he'll follow you home. And when you wake up to faint footsteps in your hallway, or the sound of a child humming somewhere in your house, you'll remember. Sacred Heart Grade School may have closed its doors 20 years ago, but Tommy never left.